Hello Rebels, welcome back to Rebel Base. It's Rebel Leader bringing you another What If video. Today we will be discussing what would happen if Anakin left the Order with Ahsoka. Leave a like and comment if you enjoy the video. Anakin thought he had just heard wrong when Ahsoka said that she was leaving the Jedi. He had to get some answers. Anakin ran after Ahsoka to get the answers to the questions that he had. Anakin caught up to Ahsoka on the steps leading up to the Jedi Temple. It was near dusk, and the light held a hope of new beginnings. Anakin asked for Ahsoka to wait. She turned and he could see the hurt in her eyes at what she has gone through, and the decision she had made. She looked upon him and could see the same hurt in his eyes. Anakin couldn't understand why Ahsoka wanted to leave right after the Council apologized and said that she was effectively a Jedi Knight. Ahsoka explained that she is grateful for Anakin's faith, but that the Council didn't believe her, and it caused her not to believe in herself. She also mentioned that for this reason she feels like she had to do some soul-searching on her own without the Order. Anakin understood what Ahsoka was talking about. He often thought about leaving the Order to be with Padme. The Order is all he knows, and this is his life, and the reasons deterred him from leaving the Order. He let Ahsoka know that he understands, and at times has wanted the same thing. To his surprise, Ahsoka let him know that she understood that he wants to leave the Order and hinted to why she understood. Anakin couldn't believe that Ahsoka knew about Padme. He understood that he showed the world that he cares about Padme, but he didn't know that he gave the impression that there was more going on. Before Anakin could press further to see if she actually knew, and if anyone else knows, Ahsoka asked for him to join her. She expressed that this time would be better than any other time he wanted to leave. This time, they could leave together and be with the people they cared about. This way, they could continue to work closely together and help each other when needed. This decision was difficult to make. He knew that he loved being a Jedi, but this would be his best chance to leave. Weighing the decision in his head, Anakin thought about Padme, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, his mother, and the Council. Anakin turned on the balls of his feet to look at the Jedi Temple. Anakin knows that Padme, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, and his mother have always wanted what's best for him. He also knew that however he could achieve that, they would support him. The Jedi Council, on the other hand, have denied him the opportunity to be a master because of the thought that he wasn't ready. Master Yoda has also told Anakin to let go of anything he fears to lose. Anakin swirled back around to let Ahsoka know that he has made up his mind. He told her that she was right and that he had made the decision to leave the Order. Before he could leave with her, he had to tell Obi-Wan and the Council about his decision to leave. Anakin ran up the steps of the Jedi Temple, taking them two at a time. He found Obi-Wan with the Council in the Council room. That moments before, Ahsoka informed everyone that she was leaving. The Council inquired if Anakin was able to get Ahsoka to stay. He informed them that, despite his best attempt, she stood by her decision and he didn't blame her. He also informed them that he had made the decision as well to leave. This caught most of the Council by surprise, and knowing that they couldn't lose another Jedi, especially Skywalker, during the Clone Wars decided to push back. Mace Windu was the driving force behind the blowback and retaliation of Anakin wanting to leave. Mace began to tell Anakin to not let his emotions dictate his actions. He had to think of the good of the Order and the galaxy and let go of his emotions. This was something that Anakin couldn't do. After all, it was his emotions that helped him get this far and helped him to have the desire to be the best he could. Obi-Wan began to see what was going on with Anakin. Anakin was on the verge of staying and changing his mind, and Obi-Wan knew this. He could also see that his heart wanted to leave, and Obi-Wan understood the want to leave. After all, many years ago, he had to make the same decision when he wanted to leave, so that he could be with Satine. He often regretted his decision and didn't want Anakin to feel the same way, and then begin to resent the Order. Before Anakin accepted and changed his mind, Obi-Wan butt in. Obi-Wan went to bat for Anakin and began to explain that the Order is about protecting people and accepting the will of the Force. He agreed that this would put them in a tough spot, but that Anakin made the decision that he felt he had to make. He also stated that they had to trust the will of the Force and that everything would work out. With one side glance, Anakin let Obi-Wan know that he was appreciative. The Council, with the support for Anakin by Yoda and Obi-Wan, agreed. They had to accept the will of the Force and let Anakin walk his own path. Anakin was on his way out when Obi-Wan caught up to him. He expressed his love for Anakin and that he knew why Anakin wanted to leave. He told Anakin that he was happy that he had taken that step that he couldn't. He let Anakin know that, should he need it, he would help with whatever he could. Anakin expressed his gratitude and that he would see Obi-Wan again. With that, Anakin walked out the temple and descended the front steps of the temple. At the bottom of the steps stood a hooded figure staring off into the distance. Anakin didn't recognize who it was till he got to the bottom. Anakin recognized that Palpatine was waiting for him and that Ahsoka wasn't waiting anymore. Where was she? Suddenly, Anakin feared the worst. He had to find Ahsoka and couldn't shake the feeling that something had happened. Anakin reached the bottom step and Palpatine turned to greet him. Palpatine had a weary look on his face. Palpatine conveyed to Anakin that he heard that he had wanted to leave the Order. He also warned Anakin that doing so, and for the reason of being with Padme, would bring danger to her. How did Palpatine know of this? The feeling of something not being right began to grow within Anakin as he mustered the strength to ask Palpatine how he knew about Padme, despite the shock and fear for Ahsoka he was feeling. Palpatine told Anakin that he had always known about Padme, and that he ran into Kenobi a few moments ago. This didn't settle Anakin's thoughts. He still felt that something was off. He had to get to Padme and find out what was going on. Just before Anakin was about to excuse himself and go see Padme, Palpatine asked him to come work for him and be a part of his guard. Anakin thanked Palpatine for the offer but mentioned that he had to figure out who he was outside of the Order first. Palpatine relayed that he had understood, and with that Anakin left to go find Padme. Anakin found Padme in their home. To Anakin's surprise and relief, he saw Ahsoka sitting there with Padme. It seems like Ahsoka was consoling Padme about something. Padme saw Anakin walk in, and tears began to form in her eyes. She told Anakin about how Ahsoka had told her that he left the Order and that he didn't have to do that unless he was sure about leaving. He reassured Padme that this was what he wanted, and this was the best way for him to be with her and protect her. Padme expressed how grateful and proud she was of Anakin. Anakin turned to Ahsoka and thanked her for being there for Padme. He also asked how she knew to come here. She let Anakin know that she felt the need to come here to be with her, and she was so sorry that she didn't wait for him. Anakin thanked Ahsoka for her help and told her that it was time they find out who they are outside the Order. Over the next few months, Anakin and Ahsoka found themselves serving those that were less fortunate. Anakin was able to continue to train Ahsoka, and by doing so helped herself to grow within the Force. The two of them were enjoying the time they had spent together. Little did they know is that their strength would be put to the test. This test came about one day when the two of them were approached by Bo-Katan while training. Bo-Katan conveyed that she needed their help on Mandalore to get rid of Maul, who was taking over. Anakin thought about the last time he had heard Maul's name. It was when Obi-Wan went to help Satine to free her planet from Death Watch, and Maul killed her in cold blood. Anakin agreed to come and help Bo-Katan. He knew that this would be a chance for him to get rid of a big problem in the galaxy, and perhaps provide some peace to Obi-Wan. Even though Obi-Wan didn't mention it, Anakin could tell that he still hurt and was a little sad by her death. Anakin knew that he loved her, but wouldn't admit it to him or anyone. He had to do this for Obi-Wan. Ahsoka and Anakin arrived on Sundari to find Maul waiting for them in the Capitol building. Anakin didn't know what to expect. He assumed that a fight would ensue, but a conversation was the last thing he expected. Maul was surprised to see Anakin there. He really wanted to lure Kenobi there to take revenge. Having Anakin here with Kenobi would have been an added bonus. However, Anakin was here without Kenobi. It wasn't what he wanted, but he would have to make do. Maul looked Anakin up and down, weighing what he saw in his mind. Anakin didn't carry himself as a Jedi anymore, but Maul could see the strength, not only in the Force but physically, was that of a Jedi Master. The Force he felt emanating off Anakin could even rival that of his master, Darth Sidious. He could see why Sidious was so interested in this boy. Now he had to get him on his side. Maul quickly tried his best to get Anakin on his side. He began by telling Anakin that Darth Sidious wasn't just some random Sith. He began to explain that Sidious was friends with Anakin and that it was someone he had known within the Senate for a while, and it was someone with power. Maul wanted to see if Anakin was smart enough to put two and two together. Anakin racked his brain to try and think of who it could be. There was only one person that Anakin could think of that made sense. If he was right, then Obi-Wan and the rest of the council were in a lot of trouble. He didn't care about what Maul had to say. He had to get to Coruscant and warn the Council before it was too late. He couldn't stay there anymore. He turned to Ahsoka and gave her one look that said he had to go. Anakin wouldn't have thought about leaving her there with Maul, but due to the training the past couple of months, he knew that Ahsoka was strong enough to fight and beat him. Ahsoka knew what he had to do. She told Anakin to go, and that she would catch up with him when she could. With that, Anakin turned and left to go help Obi-Wan. He just hoped he wasn't too late. Anakin arrived to find the Jedi Temple in what appeared to be a state of peace. It was near the middle of the night, and something didn't seem right. Anakin walked in the temple to find Jedi lying on the ground dead. Anakin's sense of fear turned to a sense of dread. He had to find Kenobi and the rest of the council as quickly as he could. He made his way to the council room to find clone troopers lining the hallway. They all had blaster marks on their armor. Anakin walked inside to find most of the council intact. He found Kenobi talking to Yoda and Mace Windu. They were talking about how they should have seen this coming. They didn't know who was behind this, but they had to find out quick so that they could protect the future of the Jedi. Lucky for them, Anakin had the answers they needed. He walked up to them and told them what Maul had told him. There was no way of knowing if Maul was correct, but they couldn't take the chance that he wasn't. Yoda, Windu, Kenobi, Fisto, and Anakin made their way to Palpatine's office. The 5 of them entered his office to confront him about being a Sith Lord. Anakin connected all the dots, and it all made sense. How could Palpatine know about Anakin, his life, and the relationship with him and Padme? Palpatine also knew about Anakin leaving the Order when, looking back now, Kenobi would have never told Palpatine. Anakin didn't need Palpatine to tell him he was a Sith Lord because he knew the truth and the Council knew it too. Palpatine saw no way out. He drew his saber and lunged at the group. Anakin had never seen such ferocity in a human being like he did at that moment. The lights from the sabers were blinding. All of the Jedi turned into a blur as they were moving at a blinding pace to fight Sidious. Anakin was shocked and stunned at what he was seeing. He watched as Sidious took care of Fisto, knocked out Kenobi, and was making work of Windu and Yoda. Yoda and Mace were holding their own and were able to stand their ground, but they knew they couldn't last forever. That time came when Anakin stepped in at the right moment as Palpatine began to catch them slowing down and shocked them with his strongest Sith lightning. Anakin was now fighting Palpatine alone, and just as Maul predicted, Anakin was close to full strength if not already there, and proved to be a match for Sidious. Anakin was able to block every move that Sidious would make, and Sidious was blocking everything Anakin tried. They were evenly matched with no end in sight. Just as Anakin thought that this would never end, Obi-Wan rejoined the fight. The 2 of them working in tandem once again was like 2 brothers seeing each other, and that no time had passed. They worked in unison and played to each other's strengths to fight Sidious. The 2 of them, with the defensive and offensive prowess they had, began to wear Sidious down and gain ground. After what seemed like years, they finally got the upper hand and beat Sidious. The 2 of them together backed Sidious into a corner, and in all his fury, Sidious let out his Sith lightning once again. Anakin and Kenobi instinctively blocked the attack and bounced it back upon himself, till he was burnt to a crisp. With Sidious now defeated, the Jedi Order was now able to rebuild. The remaining Jedi hunted down what was left of the clones. Anakin caught up with Ahsoka and told her all that had happened. She told Anakin about how she got Maul into custody and helped regain control of Mandalore. Anakin, now having fulfilled the prophecy, went back to Padme and was able to witness the birth of his children. Together with Ahsoka's help, Anakin and Padme were able to raise the children in politics and gave them the knowledge of the Force. Anakin kept in touch with Kenobi. Although he never rejoined the Order, he did fight for people every day who desperately needed it. Anakin's life turned out better than he could have hoped. If you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like and share it to other people. Feel free to watch this playlist of other what ifs on the channel. I hope you've all had a great day. May the Force be with you, always.